Good morning to the Joy of Creation Monday morning inspiration. Welcome, everybody, wherever you are in the world. And today I'm having a guest here in my studio. And June Schumacher joined me here today. And I thought it would be fun to also have guests here. And June, I have known you for several years now.
Yeah, probably about 7 or 8, I would think.
Yes, yes. And so you call yourself now the one of the gypsies stalking joy. And I thought, wow, I wonder what June has to say about the joy of creation. And we are talking here about art and playfulness and magic, and how we can bring more of this into our daily lives. So, what do you know about it?
Well, I think creation is such a big word. And I think when people think of the joy of creation, they think big things. And I think creating joy and the joy of creation are, basically the same thing. And it can be simple. It can be small. It's a way of life. It's what you do every day. It's how you plant seeds and tend a garden and have that food, and it's beautiful on the table. I mean, it's more than creating a masterpiece or a painting. It's just about everyday living and all those small things, walking on the beach.
Picking up rocks.
Yeah.
She just brought me this beautiful rock from Ireland. Look at this. It's really amazing. Yeah, and see, there's also something about you that is really amazing. You are listening. You are listening to these little whispers and voices. For instance, the voice that made you pick up this rock.
Right. I looked at that rock and Bettina just came into my mind. And so I had to pick it up and bring it back, even though it's silly people who brings rocks. But I did.
Who brings rocks back?
And this rock just radiates joy. It's one of the most beautiful rocks I've ever seen.
Wow. So that, there are patterns in this rock. It looks like there's a rock underneath and it's like coated with another like, but see that, I wonder, and how much joy is this creating when we listen to those whispers? And so for all of you, have you ever acknowledged how connected you actually are, how aware you are? We take these things sort of like, for granted, or yeah, there's a rock, or yeah, there's a flower. But wait a minute, if once we start listening to that and following through with that, also just this example of this rock, and what it creates in my world and what it creates in the world of the rock, or what does it create for the earth when we all are listening, and the joy that these little things bring, right?
Right. Every leaf, every flower, every twig, when you see them, they just have their own special joy. And I think so many people just brush by them and don't think about them. Listen, I mean, if you go out now, you can listen to the crunching of the leaves under your feet. It's so sensual and tactile, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
And I love your dragon.
My little dragon.
Yeah, the dragon.
I rarely wear jewelry, once in a while, but I saw this and I thought it was just kind of neat.
It is beautiful. Yes, so it could be actually a wonderful thing for you all to practice, to listen to these whispers, to listen to these. I always see them like an invitation from nature, an invitation from the earth, an invitation to so much more. So everywhere you have made like creativity into this big thing that you have to create a masterpiece, or you first have to go to art school at least and go through all these years of like whatever, and only then can you create, or you can only create once the kids are out of the house, or you can only have joy with creating once, I don't know, you retire or something. So would you be willing to let all these points of view go?
Creating, even on the beach, when you create something that you create, doesn't have to last forever. We would go down to the beach and people would have made little rock piles and little designs, and the tide comes in and it's gone. But they had the joy of doing that, creating. And you're right about age. I mean, my sister and I just spent 6 months in Ireland, England, and France, and we enjoyed it so much that we thought, wow, no matter how old we are, and obviously we aren't going to last forever. We're just going to go around stalking joy because we're going to follow it wherever it takes us. And, you can be over 70. You don't have to stop creating at any age.
No, it has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with age. I just saw this amazing documentary about Iris Apfel from New York City. She is now 96, and it is a documentary that is like, I don't know, like it was on PBS, 90 minutes long. And the one word I heard most, it just, I'm not counting words, but it really came to my awareness. The one word she used the most is fun.
You're right.
She said, oh, somebody called me and suggested blah, blah, blah. Well, this sounded like fun, so I did it. That. And you said, follow that joy, right? You said, following that. And what if that leads you to the next, like what you create with your sister? You went traveling. What did this create in your world, right? Oh, there's the sparkle in her eyes.
We, of course, we got to connect to a lot of our relatives and cousins, as well as we did a lot of traveling around. But we spent a lot of just quiet time. And since we were right by the sea, every single day we would go out and walk. And, the joy of being able to hear it. We live in the country, so we get in our car and drive 9 miles to the grocery store. And there we had the beautiful little grocery store up the street that we walked. And we had a greengrocer, and we had a bakery, and we had a butcher shop. And so every 2 days we would just go out and buy our groceries and carry them back in a little backpack to our apartment. And, it's something that I'm sad that I don't have that here, because that was fun. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it was so much fun for us. Very different than, loading up your car with, a month's supply of groceries because you live in the country. So,
yeah.
So
and then the question could be, how can you create that? Like here, what would it take? Like maybe find a different place to live or whatever, but to even find what is fun for you, to find that which you didn't know before, right? So when we just move out of our own way and we try something different, like for instance traveling, or it could be anything else, anything that would give you fun. You go to a play and go to the theater, or you go to a gallery, or you go to a museum, and not from this like going to a museum or going to a gallery thinking, oh, I cannot buy this. I could never buy a painting, so I don't go. Do you see what that creates? What if you went to a gallery to be inspired, to find that, to find that painting? I still recall I was in New York City, still living there, and this one Sunday, I got all of a sudden in the afternoon like this hit, go to the Guggenheim Museum, go now. And I'm like, really? I'm going to be there really late. It closes at 5. Well, I did it. I went there. I was there at, I think, 4:40. They still let me in. I just randomly went to the second floor. I followed some energy. I just went around the corner, like I knew where I was going, which, wow, all of a sudden I stood in front of this painting and I stopped. This is where I needed to be. It was a Rothko painting. I stood there. I had to sit down because it created something in my universe. I stared at it for like the remaining like 15 minutes. And went back home. But what that created in my universe was amazing. And I cannot say it in words. I cannot describe it. It's an energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we follow, we might find a feather. We might,
Mm-hmm.
like, it could be anything, but following that, getting out of the head, and we talked about this already, like just dropping all this head energy and drop it into your body, and follow that playfulness. That's the little things. It's a rock, it's a feather.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. And so don't stop yourself from creating something. It's the joy of creating it that is the important thing, the process. If it's not going to hang in the Guggenheim,
Who cares?
You've enjoyed doing it. Create something out in the yard with sticks and stones, and it's gone. It'll look different all winter long, and then in the spring, and then it'll be gone. But it will, it's just creating something.
Yeah. So how has it been for you to create something in the physical? What did you enjoy a lot, like in the making of?
Right now I do a lot of work with my hands, and my sister, one of my sisters and I, we make things out of old barn boards, and we pull together things that we think are interesting. Sometimes I paint, but I don't paint as much as I used to. I thought I would paint more in Ireland, but I didn't. I joined a class, got to meet people, but somehow I just switch from thing to thing. Sometimes you paint, sometimes you sculpt, sometimes you just work in the yard. I do yard art. I think it just, you collect things and put them together eclectically, and I don't think there's any one thing that I like to create more than the other. I just like it to be fun. I don't want it to be work.
Yes.
I think if it were work, then I would not enjoy it nearly as much.
And I wonder.
And don't be afraid not to finish something. You know how many projects I have not finished, and I don't beat myself up about it. I just say, wow, but just look how much I actually have done, and how much I enjoyed doing it.
Yes.
It's just not that important.
Yeah, when things become work, I wonder how many artists even get caught in that when they must produce for a gallery, where like there's this whole expectation of a timeline and all that. And then even with that, how can we nurture the fun and the joy of creating and the dancing with it, like going here and there and here and there and creating this, creating that. So for all of you out there who will watch this video this Monday morning, inspiration, I wonder what can you add to your life? Like, what can you play with? What colors could you play with? What mediums could you play with? What rocks could you play with? Like, you could paint those also, right? Whatever is fun, explore it. It is really like any great art was coming through by an exploration. It was not that any painter knew before what they exactly would paint, or a sculptor, but they went on a journey with the material, with nature, or yard art, or like a tree sculpture, or whatever you are choosing. It is a journey. It was not defined before. So what if you started going onto that journey and brought in that fun of creating something, the fun of exploring colors? This can also be with food, right?
Absolutely.
I made a dish last night and it was so colorful. I had beets and then orange peppers and red tomatoes, and I thought, wow, this is really colorful, and my body loves colorful food. So well, so play, right?
Right, play, have fun, and follow your joy.
Wonderful. And that to me is magic, right?
It is magic. Magic happens everywhere. It really does.
Yeah. And the more, the interesting thing is, the more space we give that, the more we will receive also, the more will show up, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for showing up here, for listening. This was fun, June. Thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
having me. I haven't seen you for so long, 6 months.
Do you have a website or where people can find
I
you?
really don't have a website. I am on Facebook, but I don't have a website. No.
Cool. Well, guys, have a wonderful week. I see you next Monday. And so I hope this inspires you. And really, what can you create? And what future is possible for all of us. Thank you, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.